Hello and welcome to the Kenneth for Cameron Law Office Legal Podcast. This edition we look at what gives the governor the power to do anything with Senate approval. When the governor decided, okay, New Jersey's going to be closed down, I says, well, let's see, who says that he can close bars, cancel weddings, close the health clubs, and impose these restrictions under executive orders? Well, he does in fact have power in an emergency. So here's some of the statutes that were invoked. Number one, the Disaster Control ActApp.A 9-33. And the purpose of this gave it a Civilian Defense Act and Disaster Control Act. This was enacted during World War II after the Japanese sneak attack on Pearl Harbor. The purpose of the Disaster Control Act says it's to provide for the health, safety, and welfare of the people of the state of New Jersey and to aid in the prevention of damage and destruction of property during an emergency as defined by this act. Now, also, there's another statute, NJSA 26:13-1, the Emergency Health Powers Act. And this was enacted after the 9/11 sneak attack and concerns of bioterrorism, and also when there was first reports of SARS. So, for example, remember back in 2014, there was a outbreak of Ebola in the country near the eastern coast, western coast of Africa. So, during the Ebola outbreak, Governor Christie announced he had signed Executive Order 164, which created a statewide Ebola Preparedness Plan. So when a medical worker returned from Africa who had worked with Ebola patients, the Commissioner of New Jersey Department of Health at the time ordered this medical worker Hickox's quarantine when they returned at Newark Airport. After the release, and it was not a long-term, quarantine, this medical worker Hickox tried to sue the state, but the federal court found no violation of civil rights and basically threw out the suit because under NJSA 26:4-2, powers of the State Department of Health, let's say they have the power to, under Section E, remove any person infected with a communicable disease to a suitable place if, in its judgment, removal is necessary and can be accomplished without undue risk to the person affected. So basically, the governor has drastic powers, and if you don't follow the executive order, you can be, there's different types of criminal charges that can be imposed.